Good.
Hello, Tom Lebecki here with the latest edition of the New Theory podcast. Today we have two extremely special guests. We love entrepreneurs. We love female entrepreneurs. And for those who listen to the show, we go pretty deep in the beauty space. So we are talking to the proprietors of Beautyque, is a disruptive retail marketing platform by two French-born, US-based female entrepreneurs, I'm Jackson here, and brand founders. I'm going to probably mess this up, but I'll do it justice. Sonia and Sylvie Guéret. Ladies, welcome to the New Theory podcast. How you doing today?
We're doing good. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Very excited.
I'm excited as well. Let's start off with Sonia. So give us a little bit of, and guys, I got this pitch and I'm pretty strict about who we have on in terms of beauty and brands, etc. Because I got to believe in it. And I went to this site, and I believe it's a future of shopping. So Sonia, why don't you start off with what Beautyque is, and give us a little bit of background about the endeavor.
Well, Beautyque is many things, and let's start with the vision of it, because the initial vision of it was a store to be open in Soho, New York City, and it was meant to offer a space for beauty, wellness, and health brands to have access to a space where they can showcase their brand, talk about their story and mission, and sell their products also. And for visitors, it was meant to create a space where women, men, any gender in between, to come and learn about what makes them feel, think, and express their beauty through events that we bring, where we bring experts in nutrition, psychologists, coach, therapists, and makeup artists to help them be a better version of themselves. We were in the process to rent a space, and it was in the middle, it was in March, and the COVID hit. And then Sylvie and I, we were like, okay, how can we create all this vision on a digital space? A regular website was too boring. It was not enough to create what we want to create. Then we started with which is very innovative, the 3D space. Then we created exactly the space that we planned to open. And we added many features for the visitor to be able to have a better experience. Then it's a 3D that is connected to an e-commerce, which is very new in the market.
Correct.
And we added videos for that way the brands can talk about their story in a very short video. They can demonstrate the products. They can chat, have a live chat, and many other features. This is the first thing that we were able to launch on May 13th, which was a very fast pace.
Correct.
That's what is Beautyque now. We have many other things. It's a marketing platform, and we still, since we launched, Sylvie will talk about the marketing part more than me.
Okay.
And we really working on that part and adding many feature on the technology part as well.
Correct. I believe there's so many different ways to kind of slice this, if you will, because there's so many great things to talk about. Sylvie, is it Sylvie or Sylvia? How Sylvia? Sylvia. Okay, so Sylvie, walk us through the marketing. Who's the target audience? Who are they, and why would they shop at Beautyque?
So the audience is, like Sonia said, is technically any woman or man who is interested in having another take on beauty without being too influenced, so being able to make their own choices. So whoever is interested in discovering new brands, engaging with brands, participating into their own marketing, and I'm going to expand a little bit on that, can join. And so far we've been pretty active because we have a database of about, so I don't like to talk about database because it's very technical and those are people.
Yeah.
So we have about a little over 7,000 actually subscribers, if you will. And out of that, we are giving a chance, the opportunity to whoever wants in there to become a member, so more engaged. And we're growing that part of the membership. So we have very engaged people who are participating into, and I'm coming to the marketing part of what we offer into our brands. For instance, product reviews, brand evaluation. We're gonna have also, we're having discovery programs. So everything we can do to make, to create the connection between brands that are very valuable, but for who it's difficult to market themselves because there's a lot of noise on the digital space. So anything that can help those brands connect with consumers that then gonna decide if they're worth it in a way, because the consumer is king, and this is what we are creating with Beautyque. So there's always something happening, like we just closed a makeup with the face mask contest. So trying also to make it fun, and engage our brands always and our community. And so far, it's been a very exciting journey.
Okay. So, now I'm understanding a little better. So I am a beauty enthusiast and I decide to sign up, right? What is your model? Are you charging me a monthly fee? Is it free for me to join? And maybe I get discounts or samples. Walk me. I want to go on the patient, the client side first, and then either Sonia or Sylvie can share. I want to go through the experience of the customer client first, and walk us through that model.
Sure. When you say customer, you're talking because we have two customers. We have the brands.
Oh yeah, no, the B2C, the user,
and the user. Yeah.
Yeah, the user.
Yeah.
First.
So Sonia, you want to take this one?
Well, in terms of user, because I'm more taking part of the technology part, then I will talk about that part more, and Sylvie can talk about the experience
Why don't you do this? Why don't you first talk about the tech part, about the UI UX, and then we can get into the model, and Sylvie can get into the model. So I'm like super interested in many different ways. So you feel free to brag about the tech. You know, what is it? Is it WooCommerce? Is it Shopify? What about the user experience? I noticed you're kind of doing some kind of 3D. Brag about the tech a little bit because there's a lot to brag about here.
Yeah, the tech, the fact that we put the 3D, I know 3D, we didn't invent any 3D, it exists in the market for a while, but the fact that we mix this process, the e-commerce with the 3D creates certain type of excitement. You know, when you go to the website, you can browse, you are in an environment. That's the first thing that we wanted to create. We wanted to create a connection as well inside of the 3D. And this is where we put a streaming inside of the 3D. That way we can create the events, live events, and they are in the store. Then if they want to browse the products as well after the live event, they can do that right away without going to another link, anything. Then it makes it much easier. Inside of the 3D itself, they can see the description of the product. Then there's the make it easy experience on the 3D already. And after they want to go to a regular e-commerce, they will link on the product and go to the e-commerce. Then this is the first thing that we wanted to create: certain excitement and facility. I don't know how I can say it in English. I'm sorry. Some easy experience.
No, this is good. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm filtering it and I summarize and pack this correctly. I can sign up for the Beautyque Club, and it allows me to review products. It give me access to information, and there's some rewards and some perks, right? So is it free for me to join the club, or is there a monthly fee that I have to pay as a user?
No, it's totally free to join the club, and actually the club is called Beauty Club, so with a Q. That's our signature. It's totally free to join the club because we are actually creating this for the consumer, and we are creating that as a, if you will, as a way for them to expand their own understanding of beauty. And we also inviting them to discover new brands. So it's totally free. We are adding, obviously we're very young, but we're adding at a fast pace a lot of different perks. So for instance, you were talking about Tom, about a sampling program. So samples are coming. But we have to find ways, if you will, of making sure that the consumer is not overwhelmed, that there's purpose behind it. We don't want to create another, sampling program where customers are going to be happy receiving freebies and having nothing behind it. We really want to make sure that there's engagement, because also we respect the consumer and we respect our brands. And we want our brands to really understand the consumer response to their brand, because every day there's there's a ton of new brands that launch on the market. And I think in this country, there's not enough faces for all the creams and serums that are out there. So our job is also to help our brands understand how their brand is going to make it with the consumer, and if there's a market for them.
Beautiful. Now, on the B2B side, are you a virtual mall? Does each brand maybe pay a monthly rent? You get a percentage of commission? What's your revenue model on the back end, so I can have appreciation for that?
Yeah. So initially, when we had the physical space in mind, it was a shelf subscription model, a mixed bag between a showroom, a trade show, and of course a retail store. So we transposed the entireness of this model onto the digital. So yes, to your point, our brands pay a monthly membership, which was extremely COVID compliant. We made it super affordable because it was completely crazy for all of us brands, and so we didn't make it too high to start with.
Nice.
So monthly membership, well, there's a lot, to be honest, a lot included in it. And on top of that, we're adding a sales commission. So it's a percentage out of the sales that they are made through our website.
Love it. Now, I love this, because if you're a newer brand, it gets you in front of the customer. You don't need your e-com, because you're essentially doing the e-com. You don't got to worry as much about customer acquisition. I'm assuming it's an additional scope of work to do testing if you want to test. Totally. So I love this. This concept, whether you do brick and mortar or you stick with just the visual, this is definitely the right move. Here's one of the challenges, though. So we're both beauty marketers, right? The biggest challenge is customer acquisition costs to the brand. And don't get me wrong, some of you people will check out your site because you're on the podcast. You guys have some great PR behind you. It looks like you guys have the right user experience. But we know that customer acquisition costs and acquisition space is brutal. So walk us through your strategy there and what makes you different.
That's a really good and very tough question.
Yes.
Especially to your point, it's getting even crazier now with the higher competition on the digital space. Like when COVID hit and retail closed, we've seen like all these metrics. The cost of acquisition going high, and this model was losing its mind. So that's why we try to go back to also human relationship, because we're self-funded. Sonia and I made a decision when we launched, since what we do is very, very new and we are sort of like inventing everything we're making on a daily basis, we wanted to have our hands free to start with, actually. So we decided to stay alone and not go to any external funding. Wow. That also means that we don't have millions of dollars to put on the table to acquire customers. So we're doing it through a mix of digital and a mix of back to basic, like one-on-one human relationship type of approach that is totally disappearing, especially in digital. That's why we're creating this beauty club. The beauty club means to reinstall, if you will, what people like and what people miss the most. It's like talking to people. We're creating that bond, that sense of the community. We are very close to this club, and so far the reactions we've had from the club and the people, members of the club, are very promising and show us we're on the right path. So we are, to answer your question, we are trying to impulse, if you will, that a sense of human. We hear you, we understand you, we collect information on our consumers, but not to resell them outside. We collect it to make sure that we are sticking to what they are interested in and not overwhelming them with like some stupid campaigns that they're pushing them to buy. It's a very soft approach in terms of retail. And I think it's all working together, and it's all working in the right direction, because like I said, we already have a group of 7,000 subscribers. We have a couple of thousands of our members, and it's growing every day. People are joining us, people are engaging. So we're trying to go back a little bit to the old school way of doing business, which was also a very central part of the physical space that we had in mind. We wanted to recreate connection. And that's what we're trying to do with the digital space, is recreate that connection, that bond that is not only a customer number in Shopify, if you will.
Correct.
And I will add that connection, because initially we wanted to create that connection on the physical space by bringing events. That way the brands can talk about their story, which in a regular retailer, they don't really have that chance. And regular retailer, they take them because they sell already. And to get to that point, it takes a lot of work. Then us, we're like in between for the brands. Then these brands have the space to talk about their story, to showcase their products, and this create a bond as well. It's a bond between Beautyque and our community, and the brand and the community that we connect with. Then it's the power of group somehow that we're creating with the brands that we love a lot.
And to add to this point, one last thing, we're also creating a group of brand founders and brand representatives, because, you know, every brand founder, especially young brands, can feel very isolated and alone. So we're lucky because we have a very nice group of brands that very varied and very at different stages of maturity. So we're also creating that community of brand founders that help each other out. They're very involved. There's also a very strong sense of the community between the brands that do operations together. They give advice to each other when somebody has an issue on X, Y, and Z. Somebody jumps in and helps. So there's a very nice sense also of the community at this level.
Well, so see, I love everything about this, but I have some questions in terms of logistics. So if I'm one of these brands, do you require a certain level of exclusivity, price floors, etc.? Because, you know, if they go on Amazon or other platforms, there's price disparity, there's access issues. So how are you like negotiating, or how are you working it out with your vendors? And what type of relationship is expected?
So we don't call them vendors because we are working hand in hand. So they are our partners.
Okay.
And we are their partner. And actually we don't negotiate. Maybe in the future we will. But for now, you know, what we do is so different. So it's very complementary to whatever they've been doing on the site. So to give a few examples, we have brands that are launching. So they have no retail, no Amazon, only their website, and they have, you know, they're looking to expand and to increase their brand awareness. We have brands that have been around like years and years and years that are at Target. I mean, we have brands that are all over the retail. So what they look for when they join Beautyque is really that consumer connection. They either look for reaching out and getting the word out that they exist when they're a young brand. But when they're a more established brand, they look into, you mentioned something about testing. They look into how they can test and fine tune some messages. For instance, we finished every month, we run what we call a brand evaluation program where we invite our members to answer a couple questions, more than a couple, but questions about how they perceive the brand, the message, the vibes, the Instagram, the whatever. So it's a very structured questionnaire that they go through. So we collect a ton of data that's coming directly for consumers. We know if the consumer is the age group, we know if it's skin tone, light, medium, or dark. So we know a number of things that are gonna very much help the brands re-evaluate, if you will, their marketing messaging. And the second side of this program is the product evaluation. So some of them get a product to try and to evaluate, and also product reviews. So it's a very comprehensive and valuable feedback directly from consumers. So at the end of the day, we're not here to impose any exclusivity or whatnot, because we're here to bring something different to the consumer on the one hand, but also to the brand. And it's not because they're sold at Sephora or Target or Credo or whatever that we're not going to be able to do our part of the job. They're looking for something else with us. And sometimes I have to say it's also because they cannot access retail. Those brands that are launching, you know, now it's getting more and more difficult to access retail because retailers ask, like Sonia mentioned, like, you need to be already successful. They're not going to do the homework that you're supposed to be doing as a brand. So this is where we help emerging brands to also put their name on the map and build some metrics and some data so they can have a conversation with retailers in the second step. That's going to be a very different conversation. Right now, no retailers will take the bet on, will make a bet and take a brand that is not performing, that is not performing well with consumer, that doesn't have X amount of followers on Instagram. So we help them create that. And the second step would be for them and for us to help them step up and go into retail.
So you eloquently shared the vision, and what I'm gathering is, and what everyone should gather is, you will assist in deepening or establishing and deepening a relationship between brands and users, which, whether we like it or not, Amazon just can't do. If you could expound upon that a little bit, because that's what I'm gathering from this.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had Sonia and I, we are brand founders, you know, and we have our own experience of selling and putting a brand on the market, launching brands. I have myself worked for 10 years in relaunching brands, niche brands, mostly in skincare, beauty, makeup, fashion. Worked with Amazon. Also, I had a brand on Amazon. So you have the visible tip of the iceberg in beauty is made for brands that already have traction. When you go on Amazon, it's a search engine. You want to have the last product from, I don't know, L'Oreal, because you heard about it. But nobody is ever going to search for brands that nobody knows. It's almost impossible. The model, the algorithm of Amazon is not even made for that. So there's a whole, if you go to like trade shows for emerging brands, you have a ton of brands that have nowhere to go. So in terms of retail, if you will, except on their own website, but good luck with that. I mean, unless you have millions of dollars to put on the table to get yourself, you know, out there, it's impossible. So to your point, we are trying to make that link and to make that first step happen. Amazon is a wonderful, Amazon, Sephora, every retailer out there, whatever their size, is an amazing, if you want, accelerator of sales. But you have to be able to get into them, and they don't accept you if you don't, like we said already, if you don't already perform in a way or another. And second aspect of it, they're going to kick you out if you don't perform well enough. There's no such thing at Beautyque. We don't look at performance the same way. We're not gonna, so that's a question we have a lot from our brands saying, hey, how many units do you require from me to sell every month before you kick us out? We're not here to kick anybody out. We're here to build something with the brand. So that's why we start the relationship as well, understanding their objectives. We also advise them on what we feel would be a good angle. And we work with them over 3 months, 6 months if they, and usually they renew with us. So it's by every 3 months. And now we're very likely going to move to 6 months because this is the right amount of time. But we don't function as a regular retailer from that perspective. And we give them the means to understand, give them the data that what the customer is saying. That you never have at Amazon, you only have your numbers. You know that you spend X amount of money, made Y amount of money, you're profitable, you're not, that's it. You have no idea if the customer is old, young, why they like your product. You have nothing like that. We bring all that data.
That's what makes it unique. Kind of one last question on the business front is, you have a little bit of a challenge because it's a double sell, right? Like you either have to expand your sell into the 7,000 people, right? Or get more than 7,000 people on, but also kind of recruiting newer and exciting brands. How do you guys, or ladies, how do you balance kind of that double sell?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You said it, yeah, it's challenging.
So we balance, we don't balance, we just work super hard. On both fronts, and we actually take the opportunity to thank you because it's thanks to the exposure that we get through media and all that we're getting the word out, especially with brands, but not only with brands. So far we've been very, I don't know if I can say we've been very good, but we've been lucky. I don't know what the right word is. Brands came to us. So we initiated, obviously, the first movement when we sort of tested the water back in December 2019. But since then, we've had brands reaching out to us because we get visible. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge, especially when we want to move toward, different types of brands, like more, we want to add more of the nutrition, sexual wellness, not necessarily the core usual beauty and makeup categories. So it's something we're working on, and we're working on the consumer side at the same time. So you said it, it's very challenging, and we're very excited, and we love what we do. And so far, the response that we're getting on both sides is very positive. So we keep going.
Yeah,
Tom,
I'm
sorry. Yeah, even if we started, I mean, because we launched so fast and it was in the middle of the crisis, even the beginning of the crisis, then we started with the e-commerce and the 3D, which was an innovation and brought attention to us. But we are putting our focus on the marketing part, and at the same time that the brands, they have the possibility to showcase in an innovative space and sell as well on our platform. Then we try to focus on the marketing part, and of course the rest we want to be ahead of the game because we started it and we want to keep it because we believe totally that this is the future, even if things will get back to normal, and that's what we wish and that's what we want. But the habits changed and they are changing, and we're going to stay on the digital. Then for us, the focus will be pretty much the marketing, with all the rest, of course, that is always updated and ahead of the game.
I love it. And all right. So I guess my final question is, in lieu of COVID, we're kind of going to do a store, and then you're like, okay, let's pivot to digital, which I love. And you guys are doing a great job at it. And that site looks great. Now that you're doing this a little bit, are you like, hey, you're going to stick digitally? And, because the store is an expense and it's a lot of work and a lot of stuff going on in New York these days. How has COVID kind of netted out to, hey, are we going to, move forward with the store? Are we going to hold off? Walk us through that.
So, yeah.
Yeah, seriously, we all want to go back to the normal, but nobody knows exactly what it's going to be, how it's going to be. We understand the people who have already stores, then they are pushing it because they have expenses, they have things to pay. We don't have that, thankfully. We didn't sign a lease, we didn't get to that. But if things go back to normal for us, of course, things change. We would like, because the physical part is important, we need to connect with people, we need to touch, we are human. Then for us, it's going to be certainly, we will open one when things get back to normal. And it's going to be probably an extension of what we're doing instead of the opposite that was initially planned. We don't know exactly how the extension would be, but if it's a good business investment to do as an extension, we will do it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. How can we find you, ladies? I'm going to put a link below. So no matter where you're listening to this podcast, you'll find a link below. But how can we find you guys?
You can find us on our website, www.beautyque.nyc, and we take it from there.
Beautiful. Any, I'll start off with Sonia. Any parting words and any advice for other female entrepreneurs that are listening?
Female entrepreneurs?
Female entrepreneurs.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. It's just if you have a dream and you have a plan, go ahead, keep doing it, never give up. Even in the middle of the crisis, there's always an opportunity. And that's pretty much my advice, to keep doing what you have to do during the day, even if the day is tough.
Love it. And Sylvie?
Yeah, I would obviously repeat the same thing and advise women, to be confident, never listening to the naysayers. Obviously, we don't want only to listen to people who tell us what we want to hear, but women tend to be very much discouraged by, outside advice. Don't take advice from people who don't want you to be succeeding. Take advice from people who know, and listen to your guts, listen to your feelings. We're women, and listen to your feelings and join a community of other women. I feel that especially with the crisis, there's been a lot more of the togetherness and this sense of the community helping each other out. So just do it, go for it. If you want to change your job or you lost your job and you have an idea and you want to go for it, just go for it. Join the community, listen to people who've done it, and trust yourself. Just do it.
I absolutely love it. So ladies, I wish you the best of luck. We're going to put the link below. Let's keep in touch, because I'm super fascinated about what you guys are doing, and you have our full support. And thank you for being on the New Theory podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.